Well, howdy there, Internet people. It's Bo again, and welcome to The Roads with Bo. Today is June 30th, 2024, and this is episode 45 of The Roads Not Taken, which is a weekly series where we go through the previous week's events and talk about news that was unreported, underreported, didn't get the coverage I thought it deserved, or I just found it interesting. Then after that, we go through some questions from y'all. Okay, so starting off with foreign policy. Europe is currently waiting to see whether or not the far-right parties gain ground in the elections over there. There is a rapidly strengthening hurricane in the Caribbean right now, and we're waiting to find out where it's going to go and what it's going to do. Iran has threatened, I believe the word they used was obliteration, threatened war with Israel if they go after Lebanon. The pier is being disassembled again after a series of misadventures. So the U.S. finally got the thing up and running, delivering food, getting it offshore or getting it onto shore, but the UN was unable to distribute it. Now the UN is able to distribute it, but the pier is coming down again because of weather. The United Nations established that rockets being fired by Russia into Ukraine are of North Korean production. Kenya is trying to stabilize Haiti right now. There are signs in the United States of a PR push to get the U.S. to move in as well. That is a horrible idea. We don't have a good track record there. There's nothing we can do to help, aside from providing food and supplies through a third party. There's nothing we can do to help. We will hurt more than we help if we go in. Okay, moving on to U.S. news. The discussion within the Democratic Party over Biden's debate performance continues. More tellingly, there is no debate within the Republican Party about whether or not Trump should withdraw. Two cops, one of them being the former chief, have been indicted over the Uvalde response. Judges in Kansas and Missouri have blocked portions of Biden's SAVE plan. That's the thing that was set to lower student loan payments. The Supreme Court's credibility takes another hit as polling showed that 7 in 10 Americans believe they rule based on ideology rather than law. Be on the lookout for more news coming out of Oklahoma after the state decided to force the Bible into schools. There was reportedly a state senator who tried to monitor a meeting of education officials, and they were denied entry. I feel like that's going to become a thing. The Supreme Court ruled in favor of a Jan 6 defendant, and it had to do with what the law really said and how it should be interpreted as far as what really counts as obstruction and interference and all of that stuff. The short version is the court decided that a sentence beforehand meant that in order to be somebody who, quote, obstructs, influences, or impedes any official proceeding or attempts to do so, you have to do it by, like, destroying records for that to apply. 3 Republican women who are state senators, they are the ones who filibustered the South Carolina abortion ban, they lost their primaries. It goes to show that that is Republican policy, no matter what they say. They are out to control women. They are out to curtail reproductive rights as a whole. In cultural news, something that realistically could have been its own video, but So, a company called Tractor Supply, they made a public statement saying that they were backing away from climate goals and supporting Pride and DEI and so on and so forth. Looking at the comments, I feel like it might create some interesting dynamics going down the road. These are comments from people who were opposed to them moving away from, these woke liberal ideas. I won't be buying any more chicks there. I can get my horse feed somewhere else. I guess Lowe's can deliver the fencing. Great, I have to go an extra 20 miles to buy boots. These were comments that I saw coming from people who were in support of them moving away from those liberal woke ideas. Good move. Just make quality tractor parts and don't go woke. I'm glad you did this. I was never going to buy another tractor from you again. If you've been to a Tractor Supply, you're already laughing. I bought my last John Deere tractor there. Had a great experience. Glad I'll be able to keep doing business with you. Okay, so despite the name, for those people who have never been to a Tractor Supply, they don't sell tractors. That's not, unless you're talking about riding lawnmowers, that's not what they sell. They're more like, kind of like a rural Walmart that has stuff that Walmart wouldn't have, like livestock meds and stuff like that. It certainly appears that they have alienated a segment of their actual customer base. Chickens, horse feed, fencing, boots, these are all things they actually sell. And they have alienated at least a portion of them to appease a group of people who, based on some of the comments, they don't even know what they sell. I'm sure that this started with people who had actually been to a Tractor Supply, the people who wanted these changes made. But I feel like the support that might have caused Tractor Supply to make this decision, I don't know that it actually came from their customers. I do not believe this person bought a John Deere tractor at Tractor Supply. Not unless they're talking about one of the little toys in the kids section. So I feel like this is something we should probably watch because it may be an ongoing story. MTV, their website, as most people know it, it's gone. It is not anything like what it used to be. This prompted a massive reaction from those who see it as losing a cultural touchstone. Articles from MTV News were seen as the biggest loss. In science news, on June 28th, NROL 186 launched. It contained a number of satellites for the National Reconnaissance Office. That's one of the lesser-known spy agencies of the United States. These satellites are imaging satellites of some kind. China's mission to the far side of the moon was a success. Rocks from the far side of the moon have made it back to Earth. Well, I guess made it to Earth. A giant asteroid whizzed by Earth safely. In oddities, a network of pro-Putin accounts on Twitter began spreading disinformation in support of Trump ahead of the debate. What makes that odd is they seem to be directing people to a fake Fox News site. So they were generating the content to manufacture the narrative. There was an attack in Serbia against guards protecting the Israeli embassy. The interesting part about this is that it was conducted with a crossbow. Okay, moving on to the Q&A. Why aren't you taking a victory lap on the slow rolling of aid to Israel? Now that the flight logs are out, you can actually show it. Okay. Well, it's not something I want to celebrate. Why I'm not taking a victory lap on it, I don't feel like it would be appropriate to do that. If you don't know, flight logs that were cataloging cargo shipments from the United States to Israel were released by a news outlet over there. And it does appear to confirm slow rolling of military aid. I don't remember all the exact numbers, but in November, I want to say it was close to 50 planes, then maybe 40 in December. And then right around the time we said that it looked like that's what they were doing, it cut in half. And it stayed down, sometimes dropping into single digits. The reporting does really kind of show that, but it doesn't sit right with me to go out and be like, yay, this happened. Okay, so this one says, I'm a vet, and then it gives years, locations, units, stuff like that of when they were deployed. It took me some time to process everything, but now I'm trying to make up for everything. I'm doing a lot of volunteering and activism and helping to feed people. I've been doing it about 8 months, and I don't feel any different. I know you're not a shrink, but any tips? Yeah, the penance route. I know a lot of people that went this route. And yeah, I've got tips. Got good news and bad news, really. The good news, it works. It works. I know a number of people who went this route. Everybody who did this, they're all better off than they were. It works. There are varying degrees to that. Those people who had the best outcome, as far as tips go, I know you're not a shrink. Those who had the best outcome, they talk to one. They talk to somebody and get a dog. Okay? I'm sure you know all the reasons why. Now the bad news. It might seem like bad news right now. It's not. I've been doing it for 8 months and I don't feel any better or don't feel any different. Okay. Going back to your deployments here. 11 months, 13 months, 12 months. You spent 3 years. So I'm going to say you will start feeling better in about 28 months. I don't have any study to back that up. It's personal observation. I don't know that there's any psychological basis for it at all. But from what I have seen, people who go this route, if they were over there 2 years, it takes 2 years of actively trying to do good to start feeling different, feeling better. If they were over there 4 years, it takes 4 years. Again, personal observation based on a sample size of, 12 to 15. But there's a flip side to this. Stop counting the months, because I don't know a single person who went this route that ever stopped. It changes, and I know this probably isn't going to make any sense right now. But at some point, it stops being about penance, and it just starts being about doing good. And I know right now you're saying, no, the whole reason I'm doing this is because I'm doing good. Yeah, but there's a shift somewhere. And from my observations, it tends to be however long you were doing it, right around that time. But it does work. And it, in fact, one of the, and I've talked about this on the channel, one of the people I know who really, who was in a really bad way, I mentioned them on the channel. After Michael, they were feeding people, and the cops came up and told them they couldn't do it, and it almost turned into a national news story. He was ate up. I mean, he was not in a good way. Today, he's in a really good place, and probably volunteers 20 hours a week, and works. So just understand, going this route, it works, but it's changing your entire life. But I feel like you probably want that. Okay. Is there any chance that President Biden purposely underperformed in the first debate of 24? Did Dark Brandon still Trump's threat to intentionally throw the debate to make the Biden bounce back even more impressive? Not to mention a huge sympathy fundraising haul. Okay, I apologize. That's 3 questions. Biden's been around a long time, and he has deployed some unorthodox strategies in the past. Is this possible? Is there any chance, to use your phrasing here? Sure. Do I think this is what happened? No, I don't. I think he had a bad night. And for those who don't know, he did have a huge fundraising haul after the debate. Okay. But yeah, I don't think this is likely. And generally speaking, I don't like attributing 4D chess to people unless I can prove it. My concern is the out-of-control Supreme Court, the Jan 6 leaders, and what can we actively do to protect ourselves. Everyone just keeps reporting the deconstruction of our Constitution, but what can we actually do about it on the ground? Based on everything we have seen from Trump's planning and the project and all of that stuff, it's going to be done with paper. It's going to be done through the electoral process. That appears to be the route they're going, which means this may not be what people want to hear, but electoral politics right now is actually super important. And this is coming from the guy who repeatedly says electoral politics is, the least effective form of civic engagement. That's all relative to what's going on. Right now, it's really important. Get involved. Don't understand what you mean by caught the car. Could you please explain that expression? A dog chasing a car. It never really intends to catch the car, and anytime you see a dog catch a car, he doesn't know what to do. That's the expression. Camp David to discuss future surrounded by family. Thoughts? I've seen this reporting. If you don't know, reporting has gone out that Biden is going to meet with his family at Camp David, and they're going to hash everything out and decide whether or not he's going to drop out of the race. I pay real close attention to press releases. The one thing I do know that causes me to question this narrative is that this trip that they're saying is for this purpose, it was scheduled before the debate. There was a press release about it. So I've seen the reporting Could they be using a pre-planned trip to do it? Sure. I have questions about this one. So I would wait to see the outcome. To quote them, "The world as we know it is going to change in January, and there isn't anything anyone can do to stop it anymore. They are also making plans to see the world because they believe climate change is going to destroy it and want to go before that happens. I am worried that they have fallen into an online echo chamber of despair since they admit to spending a lot of time online. I'm not sure if they are aware that they are in an echo chamber, or if they are aware and truly believe it, or if it's a third option I'm not aware of. I also follow current events fairly closely, but I maintain a more optimistic outlook as a believer in the indomitable human spirit, ingenuity, and that on a long enough timeline we win. Do you have any advice on how I can approach getting them out of this echo chamber? And on the off chance they are watching, do you have any advice for someone who is in an echo chamber like this?" Okay, so an approach to getting them out of that echo chamber: get them active. Go do some volunteering. Let them see the helpers that Mr. Rogers talked about. It helps. It helps. If you are around people who are working to make things better, you feel better because you see the changes. You see the mitigation. That is normally very beneficial. Advice for someone who is in an echo chamber like this: in this case, take your trip. Take your trip. Because that's going to have the same effect. You could go out there, see all of these wonderful places that you want to protect, and it may reinvigorate you. Why isn't the cabinet for a president a more common point of discussion? It's something that feels like it goes relatively uncovered, yet can have some substantial consequences, seeing as they are heads of a number of departments. Shouldn't this be something we'd want presidents to pitch us on? Okay, it is relatively uncovered. This is something, after each administration, we actually talk about, not really the cabinet, because it's not the cabinet that actually provides the advice. It's the people right under them. A good example, something you might remember, is we talked about how the current DCI, the Director of Central Intelligence, he's not a spy. He's a diplomat. He's in that position because he knows how Biden likes his foreign policy advice, and he can give it to him in that way. The deputy director positions and stuff like that, those are the important ones. Those are the ones who provide the advice to the cabinet members. Should that be discussed, and who's going to be in those positions? Yes, absolutely. Why isn't it? I could launch into a great rant right now about great man theory and how people associate everything that happens during an administration with the president, and that's because of how we teach history and all of this other stuff. But the short answer is that some people, when you are talking about a majority of the United States, some of them are looking for an authoritarian strongman to tell them what to do, to tell them what to be afraid of, and to say he's going to fix it all. And he's going to do it by punishing the bad people. And some people are looking for a savior who is promising a wider vision. Neither one of these people, these mythical people, actually exist in the sense that they're going to fix anything alone. But because of how we learn about history and personifying entire eras by people, people think that's how it works. You talk about deferring to the experts a lot. I have a massive respect for you for that. But my question is, what's your line? How little do you need to know about something before deferring? You mentioned it with Israeli internal politics, but at what point would you feel comfortable sharing your opinion if you were to learn more? Oh, okay. My answer to this, and it's because of what I do, but my answer to this is I would include a disclaimer and provide my opinion until I have a solid track record of being right. Rather than using the example you've used here, Israeli internal politics, because this has only come up once. Economics. Over the time I've been doing this is something I've been studying. If you go back to the beginning, I would basically say, this is what the economists I talk to say. And I would give you their opinions. Over time, I got comfortable enough with the subject matter to kind of blend them together and say, these are the options. And now I'm at the point where I will include my opinion, but I will also tell you what the real economists, the experts in that field, say. If I get to the point where I have a good track record of being right when it comes to my opinion, then I would stop with the disclaimer of, economics isn't my strong suit. Now, as far as everyday life, I pretty much listen to the expert opinion of anybody who is an expert on that subject and reserve the right to discount it if I choose to. Okay. So I really think Biden will win in November. I think Trump has done too much lying and damage to his persona. So what happens after 4 more years of Biden when the next Trump alumni steps up to the plate? Will there ever be a time in the future when we are in some type of normal? What it's going to take is a defeat of Trumpism, whether it be Trump himself or somebody mimicking him. It's going to take a decisive defeat at the ballot box. Until then, we're stuck in this loop. Until that happens, we're stuck. We talked about this prior to the last election, and I was really hopeful that there would be a very decisive rejection. And sure, he got rejected, but it wasn't enough to make the Republican Party say, hey, this isn't the winning strategy. We're going to lose power. If there's a decisive victory this time, it'll probably go away. It will probably subside. I don't know that go away is the right phrasing. I'm a firm believer in the phrase, luck favors the prepared. And knowledge is one of the best ways to prepare for any situation, but my brain doesn't remember everything. I've been thinking about designing tattoos for myself of practical things. A sleeve of information from my wrist to my elbow. Mathematical equations, metric conversions, medical acronyms, size, distance, volume calculations, etc. All sorts of things. What information would you want to have at hand? I want to arm myself with knowledge, literally. I love this. Okay, this is really cool. I wish I had more time to think of an answer. I would include in your design, I would include a ruler. Not just the conversions, but a literally be able to measure millimeters, centimeters, inches, based on a ruler that is part of your sleeve. That's what I would do. This is cool. We'll crowdsource this. If you have any suggestions, put it down below. I would want information that I might need in an emergency, that I would really need if the emergency was so bad my phone wasn't working. That's what I would want in this situation. But yeah, if you have a suggestion, put that down below. That's cool. Yeah. Okay. And since we're asking for suggestions and we're now at the end, while you're down there chatting, let me know if y'all would be interested in a This Day in History type of thing on this channel, or a kind of a Roads Not Taken episode for the week, recapping like science and tech news, and what y'all think about those ideas, since we are in a crowdsourcing mood here. Okay, so that's it. There you go. A little more information, a little more context, and having the right information will make all the difference. Y'all have a good day.